Welcome to today's practice. Thank you for joining me in my home. In my bedroom, I've turned into a makeshift yoga studio for today. And we're going to practice a sequence that's designed to help calm the mind before sleep. So for the practice, I have a few props with me to help me to accomplish this. One is a heavy wool blanket. You could use a heavy beach towel if that's what you have. And I also have a bolster. You could use a couch cushion or anything that's got some firmness to it. And then lastly, something like a dining room chair without arms is helpful. If you have that, you can use an office chair, just adapt for whatever you have available. So let's get started. And my name is Stephen Graham, if I didn't introduce myself in the very beginning, and I'm one of the yoga instructors here at the VA. For our first posture, what we're going to do is we're going to go into this modified shoulder stretch, a downward facing position with the legs stretched out. And each posture, we're going to hold anywhere from 5 to 10 breaths, whatever feels right for you. You can follow directly along with me today, or you can just get kind of the essence of the pose of watching one time, write it down, and do it on your own at your own pace. And one more breath. Noticing the movement of the diaphragm. Now what we're going to do is we're going to walk up to the chair. And if you want to put the blanket on the back of the chair so it's comfortable on your elbows, you can do that as well. What I'm going to do is just put my elbows on the chair and slowly start to walk back as much as my shoulders allow. So maybe I'm here. My head rests on the back of the chair. Maybe I've got enough mobility, but it's not a competition. What feels right for your body today? And that changes from day to day. But as you start to sink into the stretch, notice your breath. Letting it happen, using the diaphragm to breathe. Doing what feels right for your body. And then noticing the sensations in the body. The feelings of the muscles stretching, the joints moving, the breath moving in and out of the body. Letting the thinking mind go during this practice. As I inhale, my belly drops towards the mat. As I exhale, I squeeze, bringing the belly button back towards the spine. And then the next posture we're going to do is a modified downward facing position again. For those of you that do practice yoga, this looks kind of like a downward facing dog. I'll place my hands in the seat of the chair just by simply turning it around and then moving my legs back and getting this position that looks similar to if my hands were on the mat. Now feel free to modify this in any way that you need to. If the heels don't touch the ground, you can walk it closer to the chair. The pose doesn't have to look perfect. There's no such thing. It's really about what do you notice in your body in the pose. This practice is about turning inward, connecting the breath with the movement, letting go of the thinking mind. It doesn't mean we're empty of thoughts. It just means when the thoughts come by, we simply let them keep on going and reconnect to the sensation in our body, reconnect to our breath. So now that we've worked in the back of the legs and in these fancy pull-up muscles and shoulders, we're going to do a little bit of work in the hips. And first, I'm going to start by placing my left foot in the chair seat, about midway. And then as I exhale, I'm going to fold forward with a flat back. And then rest my hands on the chair
And let my head just drape naturally. I'll do this for about 5 to 10 breaths. Again, it's approximation. And then once I'm done with this side, I'm going to turn the chair sideways so you can see it from a different angle. Feeling into the back of the left leg, feeling into the hip crease. Maybe your head touches the chair. Mine certainly doesn't, and that's okay. Now I'm going to turn the chair sideways so you can see it from a different angle. Putting my right chair up into my right chair, my right foot up into the chair. And then taking that same forward fold that I did towards the left-hand side. And then just bending forward from the hips, allowing the low back to be as in line, as straight as it can be, noticing the stretch here in the back of my hamstrings, the back of the leg. Letting the neck relax. Turning the attention inward to the sense of the body, to the breath. As we notice the body, as we just sense it instead of trying to change it, notice what sensations arise. There's a greater chance that the body will start to relax. But it doesn't mean that it will. We're just allowing it to happen instead of trying to force it. And then from there, I'm going to work both hips at the same time. So taking a seat in the chair. And remember, adapt the poses for what feels right for you. If you need to put your bolster here or your cushion to place your hands, that's perfectly okay. What's right for you today? And today, I might have a little bit more mobility. Maybe not. But as I hinge forward from the hips, just allowing the backs of the legs to open up, let the head hang heavy. And we'll stay in this posture maybe for 5 or 10 breaths. Whatever feels right for you. As you practice this sequence, you'll become independent with it. And when you do that, you can take as much time as you want to in each of the poses. I do recommend that at least 5 breaths for each one. I like to, if I'm getting ready for sleep, I recommend that you count it backwards. Interestingly enough, that plays a little bit of tricks in the mind, starts to calm things down. All right, for the next one, what we're going to do is we're going to sit cross-legged and use the chair. Here, I like to use both my bolster and my blanket. And then this is where my glasses come off and I can't really see you anymore. I'm going to use my bolster for a seat because I want this to be comfortable. This is about turning inward. It's not about being able to put my head to my toes. And whatever's comfortable for me, with my chair away, I'll find the comfortable seat, and then I'm going to fold forward or whatever's available. This could even be done on the hands if there's no blanket. But if you do have a blanket and you're able to, resting the forehead on the blanket and the chair. And if the bolster doesn't feel right for you, you can sit flat on the floor if that's available, or even on another folded blanket. Again, we connect with the body and with the breath. Maybe 5 or 10 breaths here. Let the neck come relaxed. just allowing and not forcing. And if you were so inclined, you could sit on the floor. And it might look something like this. Just experiment with the movement, play with it, and feel free to adjust it to whatever feels right for your body today. One more breath in this pose. And then we'll go ahead and come up and take a comfortable seat here. If you'd like to, you can use the chair to do this mild inversion that we're going to do. You could also go up to the wall. So if the chair is not available, using the wall is a very simple method. And I'll demonstrate just quickly how I might do that over here on my wall, or actually on my dresser here. Because what I do is I'll come up to it, sit to where my butt touches, and then roll up. And I can just sit simply like this. If that's uncomfortable on your low back, you can place a folded blanket under your sacrum or just right here. Let me show you how to do it on the chair also. And with that one, I'm going to demonstrate how I use my cushion. Cushion is completely optional. I'm going to take a seat, again, so that I touch up against the surface, maybe a little farther out, and then roll up. If I can reach the chair, I can keep myself somewhat stable here. The whole idea is just to put the feet up in the air. Now you could put the feet on the chair seat with the knees bent. Or you could just put your feet on the bed and lay down next to your bed. You don't have to have all these fancy props. The whole idea is just to get the feet a little bit higher than the heart and allow the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest system, to start to be a little bit more active as we prepare for sleep. And then maybe you can see that I'm using my diaphragm to breathe, and how that is accomplished is inhale, the belly expands, exhale. There's a squeeze in the belly, belly button goes towards the spine. Start to notice the sensations of my feet, staying connected with my breath. If there's too much tension in the legs, consider using the wall or holding onto the chair like so, just so the legs can relax. And then when you're ready, let's go ahead and shift out of that pose. Sometimes I like to stay there for an extended amount of time and I forget where I'm at. We're going to try two more postures. We're going to do a supported child's pose with a cushion. This could be with no cushion, but I'll show it to you with this, my knees far apart. And then using it for support, your face can be to one side or the other. Let's pick this direction so you can hear me. It could just simply be a child's pose. Find out whatever's comfortable for your low back, for your knees. This practice is about turning inward. Connecting with the breath, allowing the mind to quiet down. And if the mind seems to be racing with thoughts, I'll invite you to use the simple tool of counting your breath backwards from 10 to 1 or 5 to 1, like this. 5, inhale. 5, exhale. 4, inhale. 4, exhale. And then you would continue to count until you got down to 1. You can do that in every posture that we do in this sequence. One more breath here. Then we'll move into a twisted pose.
With my twisting pose, I'm going to sit next to my bolster. I could have a stack of blankets or, again, a couch cushion would work fine. If I have another yoga mat, I can roll that up in some blankets and use it like this. So what I'm going to do here is a little bit of a twist towards my prop of choice, and then start to extend through the low back, lifting up through the sternum, and then settling down into the cushion. And you can do your face towards your knees, or you can turn them away. Just letting the arms relax down by the sides of the prop. I would normally keep my head turned the other way, but I'm going to turn it this way so you can hear me a little bit better. Again, you can do the backwards counting if you enjoy that. And that would sound like 5, inhale. 5, exhale. 4, inhale. 4, exhale. 3, inhale. 3, exhale. And so forth until you get down to 1. Let's try the other side. So now my right leg is up against my prop, extending long through the lower spine, lifting the sternum as I fold forward, just to find the sweet spot of the stretch, and then decide which way am I going to go with my head. Maybe to the same side, maybe to the opposite side. See what feels right for you. Explore both. The body is a little different every day, and we celebrate. There's the subtle differences, the subtle flavor to every day. Just that little bit of variety. Even if our sequence of our practice remains very similar. Focusing on the subtle sensations of the body, allowing the mind to quiet, not forcing, but allowing, connecting to the breath. And then moving out of that posture and into our final resting pose before you finish up with your nighttime routine or your bedtime routine. I typically like to have a few blankets around to make a little bit of a prop so that
I could open up through the chest. That helps me stretch out through the front of the shoulders. You hear some people say this helps you open your heart. Well, however you like to think about it. So I take a blanket that's about that, a little bit wider than my body, maybe a little bit, right? And I fold it like an accordion, back and forth, until I make something that's long like my spine. Then I take a second blanket if I have it around. And I'll make a shorter fold. And I make this T configuration. You don't have to do this, completely optional. You could just lay flat on the mat. You could go straight to bed if you'd like to. But I'm just going to demonstrate this. And then we're going to have a few moments of quiet. Minimal words. I'll talk us through a little bit of awareness of breath practice. And then maybe a minute or two without talking at all. So as you lie here in the final resting pose, bring your awareness to your breath. As if you're breathing into the body. With an inhale, notice how the air moves through the nostrils, down through the throat, and fills the belly. On the exhale, just a slight squeeze of the abdomen, and the air moves out through the throat, through the nose. A few intentional breaths. First, noticing how it moves in the chest and the belly. And then, as with each inhale, notice how the breath moves out to the hands and the feet. Good oxygenated blood is moving out all the way to the fingers and the toes. And then letting go of the effort of breathing. Simply noticing the breath. If the mind begins to wander, just notice that it's wandering. Thoughts are like clouds in the sky. They float by. We don't attach to them, we acknowledge them. And simply bring our awareness back to the breathing of the body. And how the body will continue to just breathe itself, and being a witness to this moment, this breath. Feeling this breath. Feeling. Breath. Feeling. The whole body. And feel free to stay here as long as you'd like. But when you're ready to move from this place to the next, which may be your bed if you're going to sleep now, pick a side and roll to it, staying with that sense of connection to the breath and calm. Gently using your hands to come up into a seated position. Just checking in with one last breath and the attitude of gratitude. I'll invite you to bring to mind one simple thing that you're grateful for. And if you're moving on, you could continue to stay in the resting pose. One simple thing that you've been grateful for today would be the shoes on your feet, the time you've taken for this practice. It could be a relationship, it could be a thing, it could be a person. And whatever that is, holding it in your awareness for the next breath. Knowing you can always come back to that one simple moment of gratitude, to this moment of gratitude, to this breath. Thank you for joining me during this practice. I hope that it serves you well.